Hi guys. I hope you have followed the RESTful API tutorials so far. Subscribe to be notified of future tutorials. Let's create a new petition. In our petition control.php file, we need to work inside a store method. To create a new petition, we create a new petition variable, use the create method on the petition model, and pass in the fields that we want from the request object. In our case, we want to pass in the title, description, category, author, and signees. Next, let's reset a new petition resource and pass into petition variable. However, before we can actually save a new petition in the database, there is one more data protection action we have to do. All Laravel Eloquent models are protected against the mass assignment vulnerabilities by default. And by using the create methods, we are sending an array of data to our database. This array could potentially include some malicious content, which is why we need to specify which fields can or cannot be mass assigned on every model. Every time the create method is used, it checks for mass assignment. Let's open our petition model. There are two ways to deal with mass assignment. We can either send the fiable property or the guarded property. The fiable property is the list of fields that we can allow mass assignment on, while the guarded property is the list of fields that cannot be mass assigned. You need to do one, but not both. In general, you may want to use the fiable property when you have a small number of fields you want to allow mass assignment on, and the guarded property when you have a large number of fields and you only want to exclude some of them. In our case, we only have a small number of properties we want to allow mass assignment on, so I'll use the fiable property. Just one more thing to note, the fiable property expects an array. So even if you only have a single field, you still need to put it in an array. Earlier, when we were setting up our project's infrastructure, we used the -- model flag when creating our controller. What we did was enabled laravel model route binding, which is just a convenient way to inject the model instance into our routes. If we didn't use the -- model, we would have an ID as the show method parameter. But since we specified the resource model when we created a controller, we now have a petition which gives us an access to the entire model. Our show method will return a petition resource. Based on the specific petition, it works very similarly to the index method, except we're returning a single petition resource. So let's return a new petition resource and pass in the petition. Let's go to the browser and fetch details of petition ID number 5. Before we do that, again, let's remember to make sure that PHP Artisan Surf is running. This is our home page. We need to go to /API/petitions/5 and decide to details of petition. With ID number 5, the petition is returned according to what we defined in the petition resource. So let's go back to the petition resource, the PHP file, and add all model attributes back. We want to return the ID, the title. We also want to return the description. We want to return the category. We want to return the author and even to return the signees. Using API resource means that not only we can define which fields we want to return to the user, we can also transform the fields or add computed fields. A very simple example would be to uppercase the field title by calling the upwards methods on the title. Let's see the browser output again. This is what it looks like before I refresh the browser window. And once I do, this is what it looks like now. So we can see all model attributes are returned back and the title has been uppercased. Fantastic. API resources are a very powerful way to transform the data. And I encourage you to check out the Laravel documentation for more examples. Updating an existing petition will be very similar to creating a new one. But instead of using post HTTP method, we will be using either put or patch. Put and patch are very similar in what they do. Both methods update an existing resource, but put replaces the entire resource, while patch applies only partial update to the resource. When using the put method, you need to send the entire resource. And if the resource doesn't already exist, it will be created. In this way, put works similar to post. As for patch, you only need to send the data that you are updating, not the whole resource. Laravel will accept either a put or a patch method when our user wants to update a resource. Let's complete our update method now. Let's open our petition controller. We need to call the update method on the petition, paste in the fields we want to update from the request, and then return a new petition resource. So we'll do petition update. We will paste the request and call the only function on the request, which accepts an array of fields. In our case, we want all the fields to be updatable. So we'll paste in title, description, category, author, and signees. We will then return a new petition resource and paste in the updated petition. If we compared update method to the store method, we consider that very similar. The only difference is that in the store method we are going to create method on the petition model itself, while in the update method we are calling update method on the specific petition. That is one more thing to note. Before you allow a user to update the resource, you should add some checks so that the user can only update a resource they created, not just any resource, because we are not implementing any authentication in this project. We won't be doing that, but it's definitely something you need to keep in mind. We are almost done with our petition control methods. The last method we need to implement is the destroy method. The destroy method will delete a single resource. Similarly to the update methods, when you implement authentication in your API, you will need to check if the user is authenticated and authorized to delete a resource. But since we are not doing any authentication in this course, let me just show you how you would simply delete a petition. Let's open our petition control file and scroll down to the destroy methods. We will take this petition and call the delete method on it, and that's it, very easy. Next, we have to return a JSON response. In the JSON response, the first parameter will be null, and the second parameter will be the status code, in our case 204, no content. The reason we are returning null as the first parameter is because we are not returning anything in the body of the response. As for the status code, the most commonly the returned code when a resource is deleted is 204, no content. In fact, you could be more explicit with what status code will be returned in the other methods too. You could wrap the petition resource or petition collection inside the JSON response and specify an HTTP response code. Let's do that in the index method. Instead of returning to new petition collection, we will return a JSON response with the petition collection passed in as the first parameter and the status code as the second parameter, in this case 200 HTTP_OK. Even better way would be to use HTTP response class to return appropriate HTTP response. I'm going to replace the status code with a response, HTTP_OK. I will put my cursor back on the response and import the class. Make sure to import a correct response class, the Symfony /component /HTTP Foundation one, because as you can see there are quite a few of them. If I delete the HTTP_OK and start typing PHP Storm, offer all of the other codes and not just the numbers but the names too, using the response class instead of the actual status code is better for readability and for testing. Knowing that the response will be okay, or in the case of the destroy method, HTTP no content is more descriptive than having a number 200 or 204 there. Especially since not everyone is familiar with all status codes, but you can do it either way. Let me use the response cast on the destroyer method too. I'm going to delete the 204 code and type response, and now we can see the 204 status code stands for no content. And here we have it. We have just created very simple but functioning RESTful API in Laravel. You might want to say this API and add pagination, sorting, authentication, better data validation, or rate limiting. These concepts are too advanced for this course, but what we have right here is enough to get you started.